Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Awesome Finds. Now, like a similar episode I did a while back, this is all themed around Vaporwave and future funk with a little bit of Synthwave. You know, just because I thought all these records were kind of related in some respects, or at least they kind of flowed well together. And we're going to start with this very peculiar record. This is Rob Walmart with his 2010 album, Everybody Hurts. And what's so interesting about this record is the look of it, right? I mean, it has a very Vaporwave aesthetic. You have this marble taking 90s pop icons and kind of playing around with it. It's very MS Paint kind of a look. You got, I think, Oprah right there. Yeah, it just has that kind of look. But musically, it is, I wouldn't even call it Vaporwave. So the story behind this is, as many of you know, Matt from Too Many Records here on YouTube moved across the country. And he had a bunch of records, and I was basically, we went out just to kind of say goodbye to each other, basically, have a nice dinner. And I stopped by his place. It was just covered in records still. I was surprised how many he still had left. And he was like, "You want some records?" And I'm like, "Sure." And so he just picked out a bunch out of random, including a Shaquille O'Neal rap album, some 60s jazz album, among others. And then this one was in there. And he bought it specifically because it looked like a Vaporwave album. But he was disappointed by the music. Me having, you know, nothing invested in this record, I just put it on while I worked, and I was surprised how much I enjoyed it. It's music, but it's also non-music. Non-music in the sense that these songs don't necessarily, you know, they don't follow your basic, verse, chorus, verse, bridge, chorus kind of a deal. They're much more like thought pieces, experimental, and not really like trip hop, but you do have very interesting beats and sonic textures and voiceover. And there is some samples. There are some samples almost like pitched down, slowed down, like you would find in Vaporwave. So that is interesting. And there is a user on Discogs who already made this connection and went as far as to speculate that perhaps Vectroid was inspired by this album cover because Rob Walmart apparently is in Portland, or was at this time based in Portland. And so apparently Vectroid is from Portland. So there could have been some crossover between, the Macintosh Plus album and this record in terms of aesthetics. But, you know, I don't really know. I'm not a historian in Vaporwave. Some of you watching may know better, but I think this is an interesting footnote, if you will, almost like a tangential piece of music. And anyway, getting back to the music, I really enjoyed it because it has all these sonic textures, and it's challenging at times, but not abrasive. Challenging in the sense that it makes you think. It makes you think about the choices made in this music. And one of my favorite pieces, I don't even know what track number it is. This isn't even listed. I'll show you guys the records. It's 3LP. Like, look at this picture of Lionel Richie. I don't think he cleared that. It says dubstep on it. And I can't even tell what record this is at all. This looks like side B. So here you have side A and side B. I think this one has the this really funny poem set to music, all about this almost like a dream he had with Lionel Richie, and they're on scooters in a retirement home, only wearing bathrobes in Milwaukee. It's funny, but it's also like there's some artistic things going on in that. Here you have Everybody Hurts on this label, and let me see if I can identify. You know what? I don't even know what record number this is. It's too bad that these aren't better listed, to be honest. I think that's Britney Spears. I can't really tell. Toyota Camry. But you see what I mean? How it's got these things that feel like it's Vaporwave, even though it's not. High School. And there you have White Fang. you can listen to it on Bandcamp, so I recommend checking it out. You've already seen what it looks like, but listen to the music. I think it's really, really interesting. And if you find it, I'm sure you'll be able to find it for a couple bucks. You might as well pick it up if you enjoy it, because I think it's pretty cool. So leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of Rob Walmart. All right, so up next, I have R23X with his album OST parentheses 1.rar. Now, this was a record I was not familiar with. This originally came out in 2014, and this is the first time it's being released on vinyl. And there is a bonus track on here. It's a remix of Dry Summer by Equip, who I believe is on the 100% Electronica label. So yeah, this is put out by the Yeti, which I was kind of surprised about. Granted, I don't really shop for a lot of video game memorabilia, trinkets, that sort of a thing. So I was surprised when I went on their site and saw that they actually have a lot of vinyl. That's pretty cool. There's a new, I'm gonna definitely get on their mailing list, but they sent this to me, and I just love this packaging. Now, this foil cover was designed by Jason Cryer, and I just find it gorgeous. I love it, the matte finish of this cover. Now, unfortunately, in shipping, the record was shipped inside of the sleeve and it cut into the bottom a little bit, but that's all right. Hopefully your copy, if you decide to pick it up, won't come that way. But just really gorgeous front and back cover. Also has this lovely obi strip. And I forgot to mention this, but it does have, so here, track 8 on side A is Evil Plot Monologue, parentheses 1, which is a bonus track. Apparently this is brand new, hasn't been heard before this vinyl release. Here is the record itself. Comes on this very striking, it's like a lovely pink magenta color. I really like these labels too. And look at this. The logo for Yeti Records. Really dig that. So yeah, get into the music. When I first heard this, I think I listened to it on Spotify. Anyway, whatever. I listened to it digitally, and I was, I didn't really think much of it. But then I got this record and I put it on, and I don't know if this happens to you, but something about listening to it on vinyl made me hear it differently. I'm not gonna say it was better or worse, but it all of a sudden, things clicked for me more when I listened to it on vinyl versus digital. Maybe I was more distracted when I was listening to it without the record, but with the record, it opened up. And perhaps it's one of those records that takes a couple of listens to really get into, but it's different than most Vaporwave that I've heard because it incorporates a lot of video game sound effects and music, especially from, I would say, maybe the 16-bit up to the 32-bit era. So you got like PlayStation in there, Sega Saturn, some Super Nintendo, Genesis, that sort of a thing. And so it has these elements that are like eerily familiar but not readily identifiable, which I think is a lot of what Vaporwave is, right? It's steeped in nostalgia, but it's nostalgia through a filter. It sounds a little off kilter. So you have a lot of those elements in this, and the press release they sent to me has a quote from Bleep, and Bleep says the overall sound is sort of Vaporwave concrete, and I thought that is a fantastic way to describe this music because it is that. It is much more experimental. It has like abrupt starts and stops, a little bit of trip hop, a little bit of trap, a little bit of like hip hop beats kind of a thing going on. But overall it has this kind of darker tone. Not necessarily like depressing, but just like foreboding, like driving through the night, almost like Outrun. If you guys are into Outrun type, that aesthetic, almost like that, but more glitched out. And wow, I really enjoyed it, and I think you all should check it out yourselves because it's one of those albums that I think takes a little bit to process, but once you do, it just opens up. And so Yeah, I really recommend this record. I want to thank the Yeti for sending me this. This was totally up my alley, and I'm so thankful that you did, because it wouldn't have been on my radar otherwise. This comes out August 7th, 2019. You can find it at the Yeti website. I think it retails for around $25. If you're a fan, obviously this is a must buy, but at the very least, check it out digitally. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. All right, up next I have 100% Electronica by George Clanton. This was originally released in 2015. This is the 2019 repress on GAC green vinyl. So this, I believe, is George Clanton's debut album under his own name. Of course, if you've been following him, you know he recorded under Esprit as well as Mirror Kisses, and so and this is where he got his record label name, of course. There was a follow-up to this called 200% Electronica. I don't have that one. It's very expensive now to find on vinyl, but I also picked up, I think last year, I picked up his album Slide. So this one is very much in the same realm of all those albums. It is more synth pop, kind of 90s new age lo-fi music as opposed to like straight up vaporwave, but I really love his tone, his aesthetic, his sensibility when it comes to music. There was that compilation in the 90s called Pure Moods, and this would fit right along with all of that, but it's got a different sensibility to where I feel like it's elevated a little bit. It's not like pure pop. There's a lot of thought and intention behind it, and it's transformative in the sense that it's very relaxing to listen to, and just really gorgeous, lush synths. So if you're into that kind of music and you haven't checked this one out, I really encourage you to do so. So here's the back here, and as you can see, he lists out lyrics. So yes, this is not like pure synthwave instrumental music. It is much more in line with synth pop. And this one also came with a sticker. As you can kind of, let me try to, it's so hard to get this to show up on camera. There you go. You can get that sticker right. It comes with that sticker right there, as well as I got 2 trading cards. This one has an exclusive, I think it's a broken leg George foil card. And I also got Negative Gemini, as you can see here, and there's the backs right there, so you get a better idea of what it all looks like. Oh my goodness, I didn't even notice that. A little bit of the vinyl kind of weeped onto the label there. There's side A, and there's side B. So yeah, 100% Electronica by George Clanton. I encourage you guys to check it out. All right, moving on to future funk, we have Pad Chennington's debut album. This is called Contrast. Came out in 2019, this was released in 2019 on Cora Spect in association with My Pet Flamingo. I really enjoy Pad's YouTube channel here. He's very insightful, concise, really breaks down vaporwave and future funk, and I was so surprised that he came out with his own music, and it's really incredibly good. This album is everything you can really want from future funk. I mean, it's such a great party starter of a record, and I love the fact that it's got this obi strip that is done the traditional way, at least in my mind, the traditional way, where it's one piece wrapped around the record like that. Yeah, and there is the back. And I guess, yeah, Pat also did the artwork, and Fiber did the mixing and mastering, which I'm a big fan of Fiber. And this was, I guess, this was written and produced by Pad between 2018 and 2019. Here, it's like this very ghostly marble white color. Very, very beautiful. I think that's side A. Yeah, and that is side B. Really like these labels too. And this also came with a digital download code, which Yeah, it was very nice. This is, I like this. It says, collaboration over competition. Here's to the future of our community, the unbelievable energy of indecisions. May you find your motivator. So yeah, so this was limited to 300 copies. I believe they're all sold out. There's probably a couple on Discogs if you really want to pick it up. But at the very least, I encourage you to check it out online and be sure to stop by his channel and say hi. So last up, I have Marvel83 with his album Genesis. This was a funded project that came out in 2019. There was only 123 copies produced. I backed this project, obviously, because I have the record here, because I love the sound of it. This is just gorgeous, gorgeous synthwave, but it has this air of a soundtrack about it. Now, that might sound a little confusing, and I admit I'm not totally clear on what that exactly means, but basically, when I listen to it versus other synthwave records, this one has more of an incidental music feel. Like, this sounds like it was ripped from some lost 80s film, like science fiction, action drama, pot boiler type movie. It has lots of textures, there's voiceover on it. Versus other synthwave that, yeah, it evokes the 80s, but it has more contemporary sensibilities in terms of the songwriting and different elements. This very much feels like it was produced with instruments, synths from the 80s. Now, I have no basis for that, I don't know, but that's what I mean by kind of it's more cinematic. It's just, it has more of a soundtrack feel. The cover itself is very basic, but it gets the point across. I don't think there's any mistaking, you know, what kind of music is going to be on here. I'll show you guys the record itself. It came in this black paper sleeve. It's on white vinyl. I think originally it was supposed to be pressed on silver, but he decided at the last minute to make it white. Maybe it was a cost reason, I don't really know. Or maybe it just sounded better on white. If I ever have the chance, I will ask him about that. So yeah, there is side A, and there is side B. What's also nice about Crates records, at least when the ones I've gotten from the UK, the record is shipped outside of the sleeve, so I don't have any of those seam splits. So, because especially for this record, this jacket is very, very thin, so you know, it wouldn't take much for that vinyl to cut right through it. But yeah, Marvel83, I highly recommend checking it out. It's just very, very good synthwave music. And that will do it for today. I want to thank you all so very much for watching. Be sure to leave me a comment in general. Let me know which of these were your favorites, which ones you're going to check out. And until then, I'm your Vinyl Geek, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Hey everybody, thanks again for checking out this episode of Awesome Finds. Now if you want to see more, I put a playlist right there as well as a video that YouTube will choose for me.